instead of just dying horribly, they do in the ship, right? It's a complete bloodbath. But in addition to that, their souls and spirits are captured and placed in the dolls.
I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
And I'm Nerdarchy Dave. Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds.
All right, so we got something odd to talk about today, huh?
Yes, and sometimes our content is inspired by real life events, and in this case in particular. The other day I was watching this web exclusive from John Oliver Tonight, and I know some of you may not like him. He tends to be very political, but this video was actually not very political at all. It was creepy as heck.
Creepy as heck. I would say it's not political in any way, shape, or form. It was funny, it was amusing, it was horrifying, to say the least.
And I was just like, this is such great D&D, such great fodder for a D&D campaign.
Absolutely. Like, as soon as they started going, like, my brain, which typically enjoys, like, how can things that happen in the real world inspire my D&D ideas? And this one is just right for them.
Before we get into the creepy ideas inspired by the video about dolls washing up on the shore of Texas, but there's another place that you could go for inspiration, and that is Hit Point Press. They've added again. They've got another Kickstarter. They always knock it out of the park and put out the best and most premium content.
Humblewood Tales is a 5e companion book to the Humblewood campaign setting, featuring expanded lore from everyday happenings and events around the mystical tree city, Alderheart. With over 200 pages, the book has everything you need to play, including pre-made characters, bestiary, and more.
Gather your party and embark on 5 incredible Humblewood adventures for levels 3 through 8. Prepare to encounter pirate mercenaries, face off against the Slime King, and take on the Emerthian Kren in a nightmarish landscape among other fantastical adventures. There will be a link in the description as well as one of these cards up here for you to go to check out that Kickstarter. Like we said, Humblewood always puts out such fantastic content. Now let us jump into our content and talk about these creepy dolls that are washing up in Texas.
So this is really like, the stuff of nightmares that is fueling things. So researchers study the shorelines on the coast of Texas, and this is what they just started seeing, wash up. Not just one, not two, but a drove of these really bizarre dolls covered in barnacles and what have you. It's just wow.
Yeah, and it's this 40-mile stretch of beach that this is happening on. And, it's so creepy. They're even like selling the dolls as to fundraise because they're just so weird looking. Also, I think this is very important to bring up. Some of them are sex dolls, and the sex part's not important, but what's important is they're like life-size, human size. So they'd be the size of a person.
Right.
For the stuff we're going to come up with. I mean, the size range, I think, is a cool thing to have.
Absolutely. It goes everything from like just the head to the full body. And that, I think, is just, utterly bizarre. And then how the barnacles and where the barnacles have attached really add for the fuel of nightmares.
Yeah, so like we said, it's the Texas Marine Institute. They're the ones that are selling the creepy dolls. They're the ones that are finding the creepy dolls. Now the question is, what do we do with these creepy dolls? And how do we make this inspiration from Texas scarier than Ravenloft?
All right, so my brain, upon watching it, went in two very different directions depending upon what aspect of it that you're looking to kind of play with. So I don't know how much you came up with, but my first idea is I'm going to jump into Eberron, and these things are a function of the Lord of Blades, and he has created these things to kind of wage war, not only on, the physicalness of humanoids, but on their minds as well. So he's figured out that, Warforged don't necessarily need to breathe. And while he can't get the forges completely up and running, he's made some, like, non-sentient style minions that are, throw them in the water and they just traverse. And by the time it takes them to get all the way across the waves, they're so laden with, lichen and mussels and whatever else that, like, they look horrifying, and thus...
So they're, like, jacked?
No, like the mollusks.
Oh, wrong mussels.
Wrong mussels. So like I think this idea of them, you know, the barnacles and things that are attached, not too big a deal for the Warforged, but when they show up, it's going to be utterly horrifying to the
It makes them look
mortals.
creepier.
Yeah.
Okay, here's where I'm going with it, right? I like the idea that they are actually dolls that are washing up, but a sailing vessel encounters some kind of sea witch or sea hag. They run afoul of this particular creature, and they, for what they've insulted her, they've angered her so much so it's not enough for her to just kill them. They happen to be hauling dolls. Their cargo is dolls. They're taking it from one place to another. They're going to be sold. They've just been hired to do this. Well, instead of just dying horribly, they do in the ship, right? It's a complete bloodbath. But in addition to that, their souls and spirits are captured and placed in the dolls, and they're tormented, racked. Basically, I don't know if the dolls are now constructs or undead. It could be either, because it could be like poltergeist animating the dolls,
Sure.
or the spirits animating the dolls. But that's, they're trapped in this form. They've been tormented. Maybe almost like revenants, where like they don't actually die. You have to figure out how to put them to rest. But they are marching, on the beach, and they're just killing anyone they come across, because they've been driven mad from what they've suffered at the hands of this creature. And that's how I think I would use them. Does this lead to them they have to deal with the actual problem of the dolls at the beach, and then they have to find the shipwreck, and there's something there that they have to do, whether it's like complete a ritual, put the sailors at rest somehow, do some kind of rite, at the ship. Do they have to actually encounter the sea witch or sea hag that had cursed them all to begin with, right? So my brain goes into this whole little mini arc you could do with it.
Absolutely. And that's a great arc. And there's actually some very similarities as to, my second concept. Mine was to go more in the ideas of like, taboo, voodoo, ritual type things that, could have some similar aspects of they were on a vessel, there's a sea hag, but somehow, some way, these things get cursed and they wash up to shore. But it is a curse that affects anyone that touches the doll. So that, people would get this doll, become cursed, hold on to it, trying to give it to somebody else to try and spread the curse like it's a plague or a disease, so that it's like coming out. So the adventure would be to kind of, notice that these dolls are causing the issue, and number one, restrain the people, cure them of their disease or plague, their curse, and then get the dolls and destroy them, possibly having to like ritually purify them and make sure that, this doesn't continue, which would take a lot of searching to make sure there's no other hidden dolls out there.
Is ritually purify them? Is that shorthand for burn them all?
Burn them in holy fire is kind of what I was getting at. But yeah, that would work.
And what does this curse do to people other than make them want to hold on to and give away the dolls?
They would go mad. They wouldn't have a sense of who they are, and like they would do things that would be outside the norm for a normal person. I hadn't gone too far with it. I liked my construct idea, but can't all be about fighting things. So, sometimes you need to restrain and cleanse. So I think that was the more direction I was looking.
Yeah. Or you might do something with like the idea of the curses. Instead, they don't want to give it away. They want to keep it. But they also want to display it. But when other people see it, they want it and they want to keep it. So like everyone is killing each other over these ugly, creepy dolls.
That could totally work. Like the curse on it could be, everyone wishes to possess it, and that could cause them to act outside their nature, which works.
So there's some of our ideas to take this real life idea and turn it into a creepy D&D adventure. What are your ideas? What are your thoughts? Is it something you would do in your games? What inspires you to come up with ideas? Let us know down in the comments below.
While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Even go ahead and click on that notification bell. You know the drill.
Quick reminder, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we drop new videos here on the channel, so come on back. But you can't wait till then. No worries, we got you covered. There's a video up here, D&D threats from the real world, with Fire Coral, Jumping Cholas, and the Sandbox Tree.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.